questions or subject matters I want to cover, but then like tips for staying in the flow kind of thing?
So I think the hardest, it's going to sound really cliche, but it's just be present with your.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
The hardest thing is to think about, I can tell you the worst thing is to think about your own kind of like agenda and trying to ask specific questions that you just want to really listen. Like, I think you can tell certain people aren't active listeners when they're interviewing someone. They're just kind of like, okay, I got to get to my next question. Like they're just waiting for their turn to ask the next question instead of, there's so many little things that for me as a listener, like, if someone says, oh, and then, I had cancer for 4 years, and they move on to another point. And I'm like, wait,
oh my God.
what? Like,
right.
I can't like, as a listener, I'm like, you can't just go on to a new question. Like, hold on. What?
Right,
Like,
okay.
we gotta talk about it. We gotta address that. Like, what's going on there? What happened? And, but if you're not actively listening, you miss those things, right? It's like, you're just focused on the next question. And so honestly, if you can just be present, I'll tell you the magic of podcasting is actually the 15 minutes before and like the 15 minutes after recording with someone. Because that's when you have like real, just like, especially if you're networking with someone. So Lauren, if you're interviewing local musicians or, healthcare providers or whatever, it's like during the interview, it's kind of this like, I got to sound smart or sound whatever. But as soon as it's off, it's like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I had great. Like, thanks, Lauren. And, and then it's like, oh my gosh, tell me more about what you do. And you're like, yeah, it's this. And then you have this like dialogue. I mean, I've had people stay on for, I've had to ask people like,
really?
Hey, I got to go. Like, we've been doing this for like 2 hours. And I have things to do.
That's awesome.
It's so excited and they feel really, you feel special. That's the best thing about this is you give someone a platform that they feel special. I really, really think that every practice should have a podcast, or if not a podcast, like something to give other people a platform to share their story. Because the biggest thing is we've all seen probably with ourselves is I'm just afraid to get started with it. I don't want to be the one to start it, to do it. And when you take that role, people find you and they come find you and they view you differently because you're willing to do the thing that they weren't willing to do themselves. And you've reduced that barrier for them, right? Like the way that we're talking right now, I didn't know how to start a podcast and did it. And I was like, oh, well, that wasn't as crazy as I thought. And people are like, how do you do that? It's like, yeah, well, I wondered that too. It's crazy. Why don't I'll just show you in like, a couple hours. And like, oh, no. I would need like I don't have thousands of dollars to do that. I'm like, I don't either. Like, yeah, like I actually owe like a lot of money to the government for student loan debt. Like, so I understand. Totally fine. You can do it for really like almost no money. It's great. So when you do that and you give someone that opportunity, there's just this like bond that's formed. And then when you tell them like, okay, it's going to go live, they're, like, unless they've been on hundreds of podcasts before, they're usually like, oh, cool. I can't wait to share it. Like, yeah, please let me see it. Can I, like, oh my gosh, I'll share it with my community and people. And I equate it to like what TV must have been like in like the 60s or 70s or 80s, of like, oh my God, I was on TV. I mean, still today, people are like, oh my gosh.
Right.
The news channel was on me at the mall. Like, we gotta watch the news at 9:00 tonight. Everybody watch the news. Let's see if we.
When things were special, Will, nothing's special anymore.
Now nobody has patience.
It's on a loop constantly.
I know. Now they're just like, well, yeah, that was cool. Whatever. I'll just do my Facebook Live now. Doesn't matter. Whatever.
So I have to tell you guys, so I had 2 interviews today, 2 totally different people. So I literally had a former NHL player. I mean, he was in the NHL from like 2003 to last year. So it was a good amount of time. He was excited. Like, he's like, Nikki, he goes, this is cool. This is really cool. Like, so I'm like talking to a guy who's made, tons of money and he's in real estate now. How funny, right? It's like puppy ends sometime. But he was so excited. And then I also did, an acquaintance, a friend of mine who's a financial advisor. So the 2 different interviews were totally different. The one was PL the hockey player, he was literally in one of his homes and they were doing a mold test and he was on his phone walking around the house and it got loud in a moment. And I said, no worries. It's fine. I'm so grateful. You're so busy. But that was the conversation that like I had to like, I told Amanda Painter today, like I had to shut up because he was just going, it was just like sparking things and he just wanted to talk and it was gold. Whereas my second one, she's amazing, but she was more nervous. Not that PL had ever done it before, but she was nervous. She would answer the question and it took her a while. So I did have to have a general idea of something else to ask. Mm-hmm. But so it just, I mean, I've only done 3, so I have nothing compared to you, Will, but it's just amazing how in one day, I did have to be on my game a little bit for the second one to make sure that I did have some open-ended things to talk about. She was awesome and had some really great things. But the one like PL, I mean, I could have 17 more podcasts with him because of the stuff he talked about. So I don't know if that helps anyone. Just
does he have kids that play hockey?
What's that?
Does he have kids that play hockey?
He asked me questions. His oldest is 4, so yes, but he's nowhere near. So he's asking me, he's like, I don't know, I'm going to have to follow this podcast and listen to this because my son's 14. So we were joking about. So it was awesome for anyone, even if you're not a sport person. Like it was pretty cool.
So cool.
It was fun.
Proud of you for setting up interviews. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little easy because I've known him for 2 years. I mean, we're not close or anything, but it's just like once doing this, I realized I wrote down and I just made a list of all the people that I could talk to. And it's not even like scary stuff. It's like people that I know I could actually, I have on Facebook friends or whatever. It's amazing the people that I've come across in the last, I'm 42, so 42 years, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun though. I have to tell you, it's really fun. And he's going to share it with his people. Like that's pretty wild because I can't even begin to imagine his connections. So
cool. So cool. The cool thing too with the podcast is no one really knows how big or how small your audience is, your following. Like some people will go and we've been really lucky. Never had anyone. We've had one lady ask us once, like, how many people listen to your podcast? I just remember asking her, like, does it matter?
Yeah, right.
She was like, it was an interesting. That was the only time it was kind of confusing. But otherwise, people were just like, yeah, no, it sounds great. But if you have like a YouTube channel or Facebook page, right, people can see how many followers you have, and like, so if you're trying to reach for someone who maybe is like, bigger in an industry, it can seem a little bit harder. In a podcast, like no one can verify how many people listen to your podcast except for you, because you're the only one who can see that. I think it's really cool. I'm so excited for you guys. The reach that you're gonna. I'm sitting here able to work from home every day now because I just started publishing a podcast. It's crazy to me. It really started because I was frustrated at school, but it led to an outlet like this, and has led to every opportunity that I've had has started from that. And that's where you guys have already had so many cool life experiences, but now it's just another one that you get to add to the plate.
I'm having so much fun. Like a long time, well, not that long ago, I actually hosted a TV show on, it's like ours is called Channel 15. It's like a local thing. So I started out with a chiropractor and then she moved. So then it was mine. It was like literally Health Talk with Nicole. So I would go to the studio and their studio was ugly. So I literally bought my own set stuff. So I would bring in my SUV this glass table with 2 nice chairs and a vase and whatever props, like say I was talking about essential oils, or maybe it was a model for, the knee or whatever I was talking about, I would bring and I would lug and I'd sweat every Thursday morning. And now I'm like, I can freaking do it right here in my own home. And like, it's like, so I'm kind of excited because that got old. Like it was cool to say you were on TV. It only reached like the people that still had cable, like local. So I'm not downplaying it. It was fun and I could look at those episodes, but this reach is going to be so much better. Like, I mean, I could sit down and do one later tonight if I wanted to, It's like,
and Nicole, did you record through Zoom?
I did.
How'd it go?
I did. Good. The only one I didn't was the voice memo one I did last Monday, and it seems to sound okay. I'm trying not to worry about any of those little sound things right now. None of mine are perfect, and I'm not letting that stop me. But the Zoom has been really good, even with my stupid old computer. Yeah. So, and then I'll ask you at some other time, but I want to make sure I can figure out. I've always asked my people if they don't mind if I use the video portion well, maybe on YouTube. So I've mentioned that, and everybody's been okay so far. And I've just got to figure out how to do that so that I can, like, bang, what is it? Double bang for your buck, or more bang for your buck.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing with Zoom is it'll record both. And, Alex and I do that for our Healthy Funnel podcast. We do it like this.
Great.
Take the file and upload it right to YouTube.
I figure that's what must be what Greg Todd does, right? I mean, he does his live and then it's everywhere. So I'm thinking that'll be my next step. I'm not getting too crazy. I'm just one step at a time, but I have them now. So I'm making a special video for you guys that shows you how you can do one, if you want, one video from your phone and turn it into your podcast episode, your YouTube video, your Instagram, IGTV video.
That's great.
It's the process that Greg does. So Greg takes one.
I would love that.
One Facebook Live. Now, Greg doesn't do any of it himself, but he does his Facebook Live. And
Baby
then
step.
the virtual assistant goes and they download it. They script the audio. They add the intro to the audio, and then that becomes a podcast. They take that same video, they upload it to YouTube for them, and then they cut it into minute pieces to put on Instagram stories.
I've always wondered. See, that would be so cool.
Fabulous.
Yeah. No, I don't want you to watch it and be like, oh my gosh,
no, I know.
every day. Like you don't have to do that,
okay.
But you can take one thing and put it into
and that's so great.
4 different channels and get it out there, which is, we live in a time, I think it's something really interesting that you, and we'll dive into this, but it's so interesting that there's never been a time in history of human existence that you can put a message out to so many people anywhere in the world within an instant. Like it just has never existed. And to think that we all have the freedom, like you look at, so Alex who's on here, Guan Lu, who's from Malaysia. I don't know if he's ever been in the US, but like he was able to hear us because we have the freedom to publish a podcast and
crazy
to have a Facebook group and to put content in there. And then he sees it. Turns out he's a PT and is like, hey, I want to know how to do a podcast. Well, now, the odds of Alex and I ever meeting, I don't know what those odds are, but like we can impact each other's lives now where we never could before. And your podcast now can reach anyone. It's really interesting. I'll look at the downloads by country. And like, I'm sure some of them are fake. Like, I'm sure like a handful, they can't be real. Some are like Uzbekistan, just like this just doesn't make any sense how people could be listening to Uzbekistan.
Never know.
You never know. And it's like, wow, to think that I've gotten messages from people in Europe like, oh my gosh, I've really resonated with your show. And just like, wow, that's crazy. And that's the reach that we have now.
I can't believe. So yesterday I took the picture that I'm just going with the picture that I'm using for my graphic. And I said, hey, I'm so excited. I'm fine. I was just myself telling the truth. Like I've been wanting to do this forever, finally doing it. You can't believe the people that have written on that thread and also that are messaging me privately saying, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to share this. I had so many people that I want to share this with. So just as if you guys are going to do that, I saw Amanda did it today. Just to start, I don't know how long it's going to take after tonight, but I'm just saying, hey, it's going to go live. And it's amazing, like how many people are excited and they don't even know what you're about to say. They're just excited about the topic, for the most part.
All right. With that, on that note, let's dive into brass tacks. Let's get you guys on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. I'm gonna put a link to one other one called Stitcher, which is becoming less and less used. But it's the only one that takes more than like 3 minutes. And because it's the least used one, there's a really great 5-minute tutorial video that someone else has already made how to do it. But if you're like super ambitious and you're like, what, I'm going for 4, you can watch that one. It's self-explanatory. But I want to make sure you get on the 3 like big ones, and really the 2 big ones now are iTunes and Spotify, and then Google Play. For a lot of Android users, we'll use Google Play. So we'll get you on those 3. Cool. The one thing that we've got to have is does everyone have iTunes on the call? iTunes? Okay.
Yes.
If you are listening to this on the replay and you don't have iTunes, you're going to have to download iTunes to actually get your podcast on iTunes. And so what I need you to do is go to iTunes, sign up, and you'll actually download it onto your computer if you don't have iTunes. And I'll show you here in a sec how you can do that. You can download it for Windows, and you can download it for Mac as well. Then does everyone have a Spotify account?
I don't have that.
If you don't, we'll walk through how to set up a Spotify. Perfect. Okay. If you have a Spotify account, you're watching this on the replay, you can go ahead and log into your Spotify, and then Google Play, I'll show you how to do. Does everyone have a Gmail account?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you're on the replay, we'll walk through how to do this as well. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Can you remind me? I hit escape, right? So that I could do both?
Yes. If you hit it. Yep. Sometimes I have to hit it a couple of times too. It can be silly.
I forgot.
But here is the beautiful thing. So I'm going to give you guys a sec. What we need to do is open up Libsyn. So if you go to your web browser and you pull up Libsyn, we'll log in. And everyone on the call, Patricia, Laura, Nicole, you guys have uploaded if you go to previously published, do you have a file in there right now?
Yes.
The very first thing that we should check.
No.
Patricia, no, not yet?
I haven't done anything yet.
You haven't? Okay. I want you to watch. If you need to, last week we went through how to upload it into here.
Mm-hmm.
And
I just finished like an hour ago. It's hot off the press.
No worries. So go back. I can try to timestamp where we go through it for you. How to actually upload a past episode. So when you actually finish your audio, you upload it into Libsyn and you click publish. There's a few things I talk through, and then it becomes published content. But we can't get your podcast. We don't want to send it to iTunes or Spotify without an episode in it because it will get rejected. Because it doesn't want to receive a blank document. Imagine like me, it's like saying, hey, I'll pay you $1,000, here's an envelope. And they're like, well, we really appreciate the envelope, but we kind of need $1,000. Lauren, do you have one in there, previously published?
Yeah.
Cool. Nicole, you're good? If you're watching this on the replay, guys, what I need you to do is go back to last week and watch how to upload your audio to Libsyn as a add file for download only. And we talk about how to publish it, and then it'll pop up here. It was about, so Patricia, for reference, is about like a 5-minute process, not a crazy thing. But once we have that, here's what we have to do. We have to go to destinations. So Nicole and Lauren on the call, we're gonna go to destinations. And I'm recording all this too, Nicole, in case that's easier. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down where it says Libsyn Classic Feed. And we are gonna copy this link, the Libsyn Classic Feed. So it's gonna say whatever we put in as your body title, and then at the end, you just wanna make sure it has RSS, your RSS feed is what this is called. Laura, Nicole, do you guys see it?
Yeah, I think I clicked on the other. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Okay, if you see it, we're gonna just copy it. We're gonna copy that link. And this will be quite smooth from here on out. So we're gonna go to, next thing that we need to do, since you have that link copied, is we're gonna Google Podcast Connect. And the very first one, hopefully that pops up on yours, is Apple Podcasts -iTunes Connect.
Yeah.
Okay. Nicole, good? Okay. Patricia, are you interviewing someone soon? Did you say that, or did I miss that?
I have people lined up, but I'm trying to master my
Hey.
MacBook. Well, GarageBand. I think I
What's
will.
that?
I could do it in the next week.
You got it. What I want you to do, if you get stuck or frustrated or thinking about giving up at all, message me.
I'm not giving up. I have major plans.
Nicole, were you able to find it?
Yes. So did we click on it yet? Apple
Yep.
Podcast.
Yep.
iTunes.
Yep.
Okay.
We're gonna click on Apple Podcasts, iTunes Connect. And it's going to pop up. And what you have to do is put in your iTunes login if you remember it.
Oh gosh.
If you don't, it's okay. We'll just have to come back at some point.
Okay.
Mine is very generous and remembers mine. Otherwise, we'd be in a pickle.
I have a ridiculous. You've got my little password.
Hey, you got your book. Oh, man.
It's just dumb. I have so much.
I am just amazed that, like, I just wait one day that, like, my bank account just reads $0 because someone found one of my, like, 6 passwords and was just like, well, there's everything ever, you know.
I feel the same way, and I'm just, there's nothing I can do. I just have to just trust.
The things we're willing to, like, risk for convenience, you know, just like really, you could have just written down a really, you know, really secure password, but no, I couldn't, man. I was in a hurry. Like, I really wanted that thing. I had to just go. Okay, so you put in your email, if you remember your email for your iTunes password, and it's going to put out a little screen to put in your password. And I'm not going to rush through. I'm just going to log in. If you know your password, put in your password.
Oh my god.
Lauren, are you good, or are you waiting to remember your password?
Oh, no, I've got my password and I put I don't know, I jumped ahead a little bit and I pasted the URL in that search.
Oh, man.
Oh, I need to do a
I'm
two-factor.
assuming the next step is going to be to click validate, but I don't know.
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
They have my phone near me. Got it.
So I tried to remember. It's the only bummer about teaching this is I can't go back to a blank screen because I don't want to create a whole new iTunes account. So I'm not sure when there's nothing in here, if it's just a giant blue ad podcast. Lauren,
I'm going through all the, do you trust this, trust that? Yeah.
Lauren, did you when you opened this up, was there because mine now has stuff filled in here, was it just a giant button like add podcast?
Yeah, it was just a blank like box. It said URL and then like a place to put the URL.
Okay. So Lauren, you can hit validate if you're in. You can go ahead and hit.
Okay.
So we're putting that URL in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you'll go. So in mine it's a plus, but yours will just have
And
this.
validate.
This.
Okay.
Yep. And then click validate. And as long as validate is green, you can hit submit when the submit button pops up.
Oh yeah, it says prepared for submission. Oh, look at, there I am.
All right. Lauren, are you submitted?
I am submitting. There's a little early thing. Oh yeah.
So we hit submit, right?
Yep. So mine is I can't go exactly through unless I create a whole new podcast, but I can't submit. So this should pop up as then submit in blue.
Yes. And then I just got a podcast successfully submitted for review. Apple will send you an email once the review process is complete.
All right, Nicole, Lauren, you guys are in. You guys are just waiting out now. So it can usually take as quick as like a couple hours depending on things, but I would say in a few days, like 2-3 days, it'll probably be live on iTunes. Hey.
Wow.
Super complicated.
Awesome.
Yeah, like for real, that's what I've been waiting a year and a half for. Like, sorry.
It's all
No,
about the time.
good. Hey, so and if you ever want to start a second podcast, it's the same thing. Really, really simple. I don't really ever come here that often, but this is where you do it. So if you ever get stuck, come back to this video. Watch it.
Can I ask you a question? So you don't have to come here every time, like they're just going to feed in?
Yeah, so just as a reminder, and if you're watching this on the replay too, is imagine this link right here, Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually owned by Libsyn.
Gotcha.
And what Libsyn is your like locker.
That's right. Okay.
So iTunes, remember, like imagine storing boxes of something. Like iTunes does not want to have to store boxes. So what they've done is Libsyn has been like, oh, guess what? We'll do it. If you pay us $5 to $15 a month, we'll store all your boxes. And what Libsyn does is then it actually has a signal to iTunes that says, hey, new boxes come in. And iTunes reflects it and says, okay, cool. There's a new, imagine they're like the storefront. Like, hey, we've got these things. And anytime you hit play, it pings to iTunes or Libsyn, and Libsyn actually plays it through iTunes.
So Libsyn is going to be where we do all of our work besides GarageBand.
Yeah, I don't do anything ever in iTunes ever.
Awesome.
Yep.
So like if we decide that we don't like that graphic or it's time for a change, it's just going to change.
Yep, you'd go through Libsyn. Yeah, you'd go through Libsyn. All your descriptions like is in Libsyn. So you notice we never opened up iTunes in this whole process to do anything.
That's right, yeah.
Because none of these, Spotify, Google Play, all these different places where you can listen to podcasts, they don't want to store the data. Because it would just take, they'd have to pay for a lot of, if you look at like you remember an old or an external hard drive disk thing, right? Like to store a bunch of files. Yeah. Well, imagine that for like millions and millions and millions of people with millions and millions of files. You need like a warehouse of servers.
Yeah. Okay.
And Apple's like, we're good. People don't need to hear podcasts that bad. The Libsyn's like, hey, we'll help out with that. Or other places where we can do that. Okay. So that's why that exists. So
very cool.
Now that we have that done, we're going to go to Spotify we're going to Google, and I want you to Google podcasters.spotify.com.
So Will, how long is your podcast up on Spotify? So they're not storing it. How long does it stay there?
It's there all the time.
It is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there forever. iTunes, Spotify. Yeah, because they don't host your...
They don't host it. Okay, that's what I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah, they are a... imagine how like so if you think of if you want to do online shopping for clothes, right? Like that, there's a good chance that the store front that you buy through, there's no like, they don't actually have
the merchandise on the back.
They order it from some warehouse, right?
Okay.
That's in Kansas or whatever, and ships out to where you're at. That's what this is like. Right.
So then remind me, because I forgot. So when we put all our information on Libsyn, is there a timer so we know like every Sunday morning at 9:00, that's when like iTunes will pick it up? Like how does that work?
So you can set it so it picks it up within an hour of when you publish it.
Okay.
Or you can set a date. So in last week's call, we go through like, hey, if you want to schedule a certain time for this episode for it to publish, there's a way to set a timer and say, hey, I want this episode to go out on Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay. But it picks up pretty quick. As soon as it hits that threshold moment, it's like it used to be within minutes, but now it's kind of within an hour. It'll show up on your phone and in iTunes.
Great. Okay. Thanks.
All right, since everyone's on the replay, or everyone on here does not have Spotify, we're going to go to Get Started down at the bottom right. Lauren, I'm guessing you're already a few steps ahead. Oh, no, I couldn't hear you.
I forgot to hit mute. No, I'm right there with you now.
Right there with it? All right, I'm going to log out because it keeps logging me back in. So click Get Started. What you want to do is go down here and do Sign Up for Spotify. And Spotify's free, so you don't have to worry about it. You can either sign up with Facebook or you can just use your email, create a password. Yay for more passwords. Who are you thinking of interviewing first? Patricia, who do you want to interview
sorry.
first?
Sorry. Oh, sorry. I didn't know you were talking to me. I don't know. I have I have 10 people on my list. So now I'm, the anal person that I am, I'm hung up on like, who should I ask for? I don't know.
Just do it.
Yeah, ask them all. Ask them all, and then
exactly find out the dates from there, right?
First one who says yeah, like okay, yeah, we can do that.
And just do it that way. Yeah. I was debating whether or not I do a supporting cast or if I ask another public health PT because you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out the nuance of how I want to go into this, but I have so many people I can ask because I'm in the clinic all the time. So
I love it. Well, I'll tell you what, what I found to be really, really interesting, there are times where, I get a guest I get really excited about. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. And people are going to love this. And people are like, yeah, no, that was great. And then I'll interview someone who I'm like, oh, it was just kind of happenstance. I found them and like, oh, I don't think it was really that good of an interview or talk. And people are like, that was amazing. Like,
really?
That was exactly what I was looking for. So you never, it's like
what people want to hear.
Yeah, it's anything creative. You just like our idea of like what is good and what is bad is so personal. Like it's so subjective and timing in life, right? Like
right.
You might have an incredible interview, but it just isn't relevant to that person in their life at that time. But 6 months from now, it's like, oh, it's like when Greg talks, right? Greg, I don't know, Lauren, if you know Greg that well, but Greg Todd is kind of like a mentor to all of us. And there are days where I listen and I'm like, yeah, I know Greg, I'm not into like, we'll go on a rant and I'm just like, I'm not into it. And the next day it's like the same thing, but I'm like, wow, man, that was
right.
I do the same thing.
Timing plays such a big role, and so you just never know. That's the beautiful thing about this stuff is it's there forever, and you can go back and play it. Nicole, Lauren, any difficulty logging in?
Nope, I have a question. So I don't know where everyone's at, but I'm at the agree to our terms and conditions, and it says what name should we use on the agreement? Is it just my first name, or should I put my business name, LLC?
Oh, did you go to the podcast part?
I don't know. I think I said get started. Am I in the wrong spot?
It probably would take you there. Let me just go make sure I'm with you guys. So I'm a big believer in if you have a business, putting your business name. Lauren, I just thought that was your cat. I thought you just put on like a sweater. Oh my God. I was like, wow, she's got like a shawl on or something. I couldn't see the face.
He just likes doing this. I don't know.
It's like,
that's funny.
Yeah. Oh, good guy. What's its name?
His name is Bandit. He just turned 12 this month.
Oh, man. Hi, Bandit.
I'm still like laughing at shawl.
It's like trying to burn on your head.
Shawl.
Yeah.
All right. I'm seeing everyone click the RSS feed one to get started. Oh. So I'm a big believer, put in your business name if you have one, that way you're in case.
So my question is, does it matter? Because my business name really isn't even involved in my podcast.
It's not going to show up anywhere. This is for a
protection.
And I always say put your business because you just don't want your personal assets to ever be. If you're on the replay and you don't have a business name, it's totally fine. Put in your just your name.
Okay.
If you have a business, I always recommend your business because it gives you an extra layer of protection. Not that what I taught you guys doesn't use any illegal music or
Sure.
So, and I'm pretty sure I use illegal music, and I know this is being recorded. I'm pretty sure I've used plenty of illegal music, and I'm on all these platforms. And just come say hi to me in jail one day. You can use all the money you make from podcasting to bail me out. That would be great.
We would do that.
And I'm actually going to do this while we're here because I haven't put this one. I'm actually going to put our Healthy Funnel podcast on Spotify because I haven't done that yet. So I will go with you guys. And again, as far as I know, this should be, when I've done it before, the exact same process. What's up? Nicole, Lauren, any trouble?
No, I'm a little ahead. I'm on the category section, so I'll ask a question when we get there.
Hey,
in Libsyn or whatever it was, I chose, what was it that you suggested, science and medicine?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not an option here, so I just didn't know if it mattered.
It won't matter.
Lifestyle and health, like.
You could certainly put in.
And it lets you pick 3 subcategories, so.
Yeah, and it's a bummer. Sometimes it pulls it all through. Actually, it'll pull a lot from iTunes, but I would just see whatever you can find that's close. Let me see.
All of these work. I just didn't know if it mattered because it doesn't match with what I picked over there. I don't know if it matters.
No, so if you look at the only way that it's going to, who is hosting category business for me?
I picked lifestyle and health.
They're their own platforms. So you could, for example, rank #1 in Spotify and not rank in the top 500.
Okay, I get it. Because these categories fit better than the other one for me, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So when you get to review and submit, Lauren, you there?
Oh, I already submitted mine.
I love it.
She's a good student.
No, I can't run races with you because I'll be like, hey, Lauren, how much longer? You're like, oh, I finished 4 hours ago. I'm like, oh,
I love this.
Look at this pretty thing.
Nice.
Yeah, isn't that so pretty?
One. So
is yours, what color is yours? Mine's purple, like my kind of color.
Mine's green.
Oh my God, see, mine's purple. They match the colors.
Yeah.
Clever.
Oh.
Yours was blue, see?
No, it matched our color scheme. So cool. It's being processed. Cool. I don't remember in Spotify, but I think it's same thing, kind of like 24 hours to.
It does take a few hours, yeah?
Yeah, to be on Spotify. And then one really cool thing is to go on Spotify like in a few days or even tomorrow probably and see your podcast on Spotify. Okay, so we're on 2 out of the big 3 players right now. You got Spotify and iTunes, and now it's just a matter of being approved. I've never even heard of anyone not being approved I've never heard of anyone not being approved. I can't imagine unless you're
doing something bad.
Name, uncalled for name. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Google and type in Google Play Podcast.
I'm sorry, is it loud here? I'll mute myself.
Oh, good. And when this pops up, we're going to go down to the second one that says publish your podcast to Google Play Music. And Lauren, let me know if you have any trouble finding that. Wait, Lauren, who's the first person you're interviewing? You were telling me.
Oh yeah, she's actually a resident physician in internal medicine. So I thought that'd be a good place to start.
Is she local?
She is right now, but she's about to move to San Antonio with her husband back to where they're from.
Okay. And Lauren, you're in Louisiana, is that right?
Yeah, New Orleans.
New Orleans, that's right. Okay. Oh, man. Well, I'll have to meet down and have a podcast fest in New Orleans at some point.
I was just going to say that. Like, we need to have a little meetup.
Lauren, you should come to SSPT Live since you're so close.
What? I don't know what that is.
Ooh, I can talk to you about it if you want.
You can talk to Nicole, but we're so it's Greg Todd's conference. It's all about kind of marketing, personal development, physical therapy related stuff, and it's a blast. It's a great community. There's gonna be 500 people there this year, including I think all of us here.
Wow.
And most of the people that you're gonna see.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. I was there last year and it was awesome.
You're being really modest.
Memorial Day weekend.
He was the speaker, Lauren.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I would, if I win, I could say like I know one of like the big head honchos. So
Hey. Well, if you say Nicole and Patricia, it's the same. People know them. They're all in the. It is. I will say it's probably I haven't been to a ton of conferences in my life, but the ones I've been to, there's no energy like this one. Like it's just everyone's family. It's some conferences you kind of find your group and you sit in the corner and you're it's impossible to do that at this conference. Like as soon as you're there, it's like,
Cool.
oh my gosh, who are you? You're Lauren. Oh my gosh, where are you from? Like people are just like so pumped and amped, and it's people who are just trying to do something different in their career, and it's a really cool environment. Dibs, thanks for hopping on. Hey, we got to get on a phone call soon. I don't know if you got my last message, but check it and send me a message and we'll get on a call. Oh no, Dibs, I can't hear you. Let me see.
Oh, she's muted.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Hey.
Wait, I'm unmuted. At least I'm trying. I am on my lowly phone. I'm traveling for work.
Oh man, where are you at?
There we go. There you go. I am in Mary or Florida.
Whoa.
Anybody ever heard of it?
No.
I have never heard of it. So actually, I'm doing we're doing a training, and I'm supposed to help with this training on in DeLand, Florida.
Whoa.
But I couldn't fly into Daytona, so I had to fly into Orlando. And then, of course, it's spring break, so there are no hotels closer to Daytona.
Yeah.
So I'm in between Daytona and Orlando. So it's okay. It makes me sit still for a second. Let me just tell you guys, I have my work computer, but I didn't bring my personal laptop.
Hey,
So, so I'm doing all of I'm going through this all on my phone. So,
hey, no worries. We're almost close to wrapping up for this part. But Dibs, you and I need to get on a call so we can walk you through, make sure get everything set up.
yes.
I will not let you graduate until you have your podcast published.
Good. I appreciate that, because that's part of my goal, my personal goal for me to get through this. And I'm sitting here, you guys are amazing.
Hey.
I'm like, who's crossing the ocean? I mean, come on.
Oh, she's not here.
I know. I'm just like, oh, y'all.
We got to connect you with Amanda
and everything. So I'm trying to keep up with you guys in terms of what you're doing, but I'm impressed. Very. But yeah, you guys go ahead. I'm getting the pieces a little bit by a little. So.
Catch the pieces. We got all of it covered, and then Dibs, you and I later this week, if you're free, we can get on a call and we'll walk through all of it together.
Okay.
But guys, Lauren, Nicole, were you able to pull up publish to Google Play?
Yes. Are we supposed to hit publish?
Yes.
It says publish or listen.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna hit
I think it's published.
And then hopefully you have a blue button here that says add a podcast. It might be, sometimes they look different if you've already published one. Will this add a podcast pop up?
I have to accept things first. Hold on.
Oh, it may ask you to log into your Google account.
Oh, I'm right up. It says submit your RSS feeds.
Hey.
So it's already in.
So we're going to add a podcast, creating a new podcast. You've got to agree. That's right. Okay.
I need to confirm.
Does this look familiar? Cool.
Yep. So I did it, and now I have to confirm. I just confirmed Spotify. Let's see.
Hey. So then Lauren will go, and you have to just accept their terms and agreement, aka give all of your data that we don't know they're collecting to them, and pray it's all fine. It'll all be fine. I like to joke that Google knows more than my parents about me.
They do.
Probably more about myself. Probably more than I know about myself, honestly.
Right? Oh my God, it's crazy how this is all. Where's the code verification?
I think their algorithm has already played out how the rest of my life goes, and they're just like waiting to advertise to my future needs.
That's funny.
Let's see. Check your email for page.
Oh, Nicole, did they send you an email to confirm stuff?
Well, they did. They said that on the computer it's saying enter the verification code, but then on the computer it looks like I'm sorry, on my phone, it looks like I've already been verified. Publish.
Will, should we download Spotify and Google Play apps if we don't have that on our phone already?
You don't need to unless you want to play them through your phone. So if you want to play them through your phone, you'd have to download the apps.
Okay.
Or the other thing I'll show you is Libsyn has its own home web page for you, like its own. You get your own like Libsyn website. But if you want to listen through your phone without downloading those apps, I'll show you how to do that here in a sec.
Oh, I think it has a URL, right? Like a web page. Okay, yeah, I think I played with that the other day.
I'll be up in a minute.
So for example, I don't have the Spotify app on my phone because I have iTunes, so I listen through the iTunes app. So it's totally up to you. You don't need to have the apps for things to work at all. Just for whoever wants to listen to it, that they have it. Yeah. Okay. Did we get to, Lauren, did you get here?
I submitted.
Okay, you submit. Okay, cool. We're here. Verify ownership. We'll go through. I'll do this. I haven't done this for Healthy Funnel Podcast, so this is great. This is perfect timing. Get to go through it together. Hey, Gmail turns 15. Congrats, guys. Collecting email data for you guys are doing awesome.
Man, what are you doing?
Almost old enough to drink. It's getting there.
Sure, it's smoking already.
Dude, come on now. Don't say that about Gmail. Come on. Google raised it right. Google raised it well. Let's see if we can.
So mine says pending approval. Whoops.
Okay.
So that's good. Then
That should be
because I
good.
didn't have to get a verification. So pending approval.
Okay.
So I have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
I've actually in Libsyn, so I did those 2 interviews today. So I added those. Would they not be up? Like right now I'm only seeing the first 2 that I did. Is that normal? Does it take a little while in Libsyn to talk, or did I do something wrong?
On
I
which
can look at.
What platform?
So in Libsyn, it shows I have 4.
Uh-huh.
And then what I'm seeing with all these, it says only the 2 that I had done last week.
Okay.
So does it take a little while because I did it today?
So let's go through. So the last thing that you want to do, if you ever notice that it's not popping up as many as you have, you want to go to your previously published.
Previously published.
And first off, you want to make sure that all of them are in the previously published section.
I thought they were this afternoon.
Yeah, and they might be. We'll see.
Yes, they are.
Okay. So then what you want to do, Nicole, is you're going to go to the little info button.
Okay, just on any of them or the last one or whatever?
Any of the ones that don't show
That
up.
aren't. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then when you go down, you want to see if this says green or red under publishing status.
No, it's red. The content has not been released.
So what we want to do then is we're actually going to go and you're going to exit out of this. And you're going to click that. You're going to click edit on that episode.
The little pencil right in the previously published place?
Yep.
Okay.
And if you want them to be in a certain order, go with the first published one, or the one you want to be released
Oh,
first. Click
okay.
that
Let me go
on that
back.
one first.
Let's do.
And this is what I was saying too, and you probably did this and probably still happened no matter what. But what I've noticed lately is when I try to release immediately, it for some reason is showing.
Oh, yeah, you said that, but I did do.
Well, it could have
Okay.
been
Just a glitch or something.
But when you do that, you just go back to scheduling like you'd schedule, and you're just going to set a new release date, and you're just going to do like 3 minutes from now.
Oh, maybe that was what it was. Just 3 minutes from. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you can do your other one and set that for like 5 minutes from now.
Okay.
I've just noticed, I think there's been a glitch lately with Libsyn. If you
Where did I go? Oh, scheduling, right? We go right straight to scheduling.
Yep, and then you want to click the basic release expiration tab.
Great. Okay. Set new release date.
Yep.
And then today. Okay. I'll work on that. I don't want to hold anyone up.
It's important because this can happen. So if there's ever a time where it doesn't pop up, 99% of the time it's because of this.
So what is it? I'll do 9 o'clock for this one. And then you just go right down and publish, right?
You go down and you hit publish. Yep.
Yeah, you can skip save as draft. You just publish. Okay.
And then what you want to do in like 10 minutes is just go back and see and make sure it's green.
Okay. I'll try to go through.
And
There's
then
actually
it might take like 20 minutes to show up on your phone.
Okay. I'm kind of glad it happened then because now
Yeah,
now we know.
Yeah, and this is something that like used to drive me nuts. Like, what happened? I had one episode, and I've had one episode for some reason just never. I don't know if it was a file format thing or whatever, just never.
Oh, weird. Okay.
But all the rest of the close to 200 episodes I've done now get published quite quickly and like this. So, but if it ever doesn't pop up, and it's only been happening the last like 3-4 months, that's Libsyn. You have to do. I'll just tell you what I've learned. It's safer now to schedule it like 3 minutes from now to be released versus publish immediately.
Okay.
And I truthfully don't know why that is.
Will, can you go where you copy and paste the links?
Yep. So if you go, Patricia, to destinations.
Okay.
And you just click the destinations link. We're going to leave because I don't need to change that. And then you want to just see the Libsyn Classic feed. And you'll know it's the right one because it has RSS.
Okay, so that's the only one we have to worry about.
It's the only one you have to worry about. Yep.
Okay, that's why because I didn't know what the other two were for.
Yeah, sometimes it's weird. Like sometimes Libsyn will automatically put yours on Google Play. Like it'll have its own. It's like a weird code thing. Yeah, nothing we want to deal with. But if you want to, if you go on the very left, yours will probably have a podcast page, and you can click this. That's actually not what we want. If you go to your podcast page here, this is like its own web page for your podcast. So if someone's ever like, if you don't want to build a, like, let's say, like sometimes it's not, you don't want to create like a whole website for your own podcast. Maybe you do. Maybe if you don't know, this has it all organized for you. And you can just point people to whatever your podcast title you gave it, .libsyn.com.
So can we, if we, like I'm building a website, can I link it into here?
Yes, you absolutely can. And every podcast episode has its own link.
Okay.
So you can, if you go to previously published, what I do is there has this little sort of chain or link box.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you all different ways that you can share this episode.
Great.
So you've got, I always take this one, the direct download URL, because it tends to track actual downloads more.
Okay.
What's really cool is if you want to, let's say, just embed a cool link that looks like this on your website, and just click this, it'll give you embed code, which I know can sound crazy. Copy this and you just paste it in the HTML box if you have WordPress, or just code on any other like Weebly or Squarespace Wix.
Squarespace I'm going to use. Okay. So when we filled this out the very, very first time, like all our information, remember that when you walked us through it, wasn't there a space where you could make reference to your website as well?
Yeah. If you go to destinations again, you're going to go to Libsyn Classic Feed.
Okay. Oh yes. Okay, that was it. You had to fill out what your thingy was about. Okay.
Yeah, that's where you can fill out. Actually, lied. I think if you want to put in your actual website, you have to go to Edit Show Settings. Yes. Sorry. If you go to Settings, Edit Show Settings, then you can put in your actual website address if you want.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sorry. So I don't know why they mix those two in different places, but you can add in all kinds of other. You can add in your Facebook and all kinds of different stuff if you want to. Honestly, I just don't think many people go to like your actual Libsyn website. I just don't send people there, so I haven't added all of them. I just share it through social media.
Okay.
Yeah. But guys, Lauren, Nicole, and Dibs and Patricia, I'm not leaving anybody out of the hand. But the podcasts are now submitted to be up live in front of the world. You can share them as early as maybe tomorrow if they're up. Spotify seems to be quick too. But that's it. You made it through the process.
Yeah.
All right, scale of 0 to 10. How painful was the process? Got to know.
How
Not
painful it was.
Not too bad.
No.
Yeah, you made it really, really easy. Like you instructed really well. Everything was really clear. You gave good explanations.
Thanks, Lauren. I'll send you the $20 later for saying that.
I've had people reach out to me and ask me, like, I need help doing this. And I'm like, I mean, this has been the most productive course that I've taken in a long time. All my courses have been amazing. So don't get me wrong, but this has been really great.
Awesome.
I second that.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take all of this, all the live videos, and I'm going to make like a membership site for you. So you'll have your own little course that you can go look at if you need to as a reference. Dibs, you and I will get on a call, make sure you get all the stuff set up that you need set up. And then what I'm going to do in that membership site and in the Facebook group, I will post the video I was talking about how to take one video and turn it into multiple.
Yes, that would be fabulous.
That's my next steps for sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through, and if you get really busy, I will try to connect you with people who help Alex and I do it for like, we have a girl now in the UK. I can't believe she's in the UK.
Yeah.
Who edits our podcast for like $6 an episode. What? Maybe £6. I don't know, 10 bucks.
Yeah.
Crazy. She's in the UK. Like I would have thought like, maybe like the Ukraine or something. We could do that.
Right.
But the UK. Anyways, she's really great. She's been doing it. And so there are all kinds of people out there who like, if you get to a point where you're like, yes, I see the value in this. So Lauren, if like you're connecting with local people and you're, bringing you patients, totally not worth your time at some point to do all the tedious stuff. It's great. You should know how to do it so you can control it and teach someone else and make sure that they do a good job. But I'm going to make the video to show you how to do that. The Facebook group, I'm not going anywhere. So just if questions come up, let me know.
Oh, cool.
I think those of you who've worked with me before, if you're on the replay too, like if something ever happens, I will always get on a phone call with you or a Zoom call. We'll figure it out, get it sorted out. So certainly not running away from anyone. My big goal is that you guys know how to do this and you can go teach people who also want to do this. And there's just nothing like seeing, I was trying to calculate the other day. I think I've helped start somewhere over 50 podcasts now.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Like 500,000 to 750,000 people through podcasting now, which is really, really cool. And everything that I know you get, like there's literally nothing that I don't have any magic tricks or anything like that. It's just here. It's just interviewing people. And I'll leave you with last thoughts of the best thing that you can do is think about the people who, if it's not a networking tool alone, which it can be a great networking tool alone. There are plenty of people who have podcasts who have no intention of ever anyone listening to it, but just to connect with people, which in a way I think is a little overly selfish. Like I get it for networking, but you could at least like put it out there for people to hear if they want to. But if you're doing it to help people, just really think about your audience and what they would like to know, what they would like to hear. And when you do that, magic can happen. So that's what I'll leave you with. So think about what they're facing, what they're going through. And if you're beyond where most of they are right now, if you're past it, like if you're Nicole, let's say you've reached the point where you've got this kind of mom thing down. I know no one will ever say that they do.
I know, right?
Yeah.
No one ever.
But maybe there's new moms coming in and go back and think, what would a new mom need right now? Like who would really help for them to hear? The more you make it about the people, the more that they will come through. And eventually, what I recommend is like, interviews are I think are the best way when you're starting out, because you don't have to create. You don't have to do the creative content, right? Someone else, you're just asking questions and you're just having conversations. Someone else gets to create. As you feel comfortable with your voice, then that's a good time to go back to an episode of your own where you want to talk about something of your own. Or if you always want it to be your own show, even better. And the one thing is, it's very rare for someone to find their voice in the first like 10, 15 episodes.
Really?
So just keep going. Yeah, it's like anything, like, Patricia, you're probably the exception to this question, but did you feel like on your 10th eval ever, you were like, best PT ever? Like, I know my eval process left and right. I know what's going on. Like, I got this, right? Like, if
now I have to practice not zoning out when I do it.
Like, if you could go back and watch your first 10 to 15 evals, how would you probably feel? We'd all just be like, oh gosh, did I even go to school? What was I doing? That's what any new skill is like. Anything that pushes you out of your comfort zone is going to be like. And the more that you can embrace it, laugh at it, and be like, you know what? I just want to say how proud of you guys I am, that to do something that's uncomfortable, that you don't feel safe about, means that you're pushing yourself into growth. And I don't know about you all, but for me in life, there's nothing more satisfying than pushing yourself into something new that challenges you to grow. And when you get through it, you look back and you're like, wow, why was I so worried about that? And that allows you to push into something new. And so, I want you to run with it, have fun with it. If it ever becomes overwhelming, just let it go. You can come back to it. I will say, I'll leave you with one last stat. I know I've said that, but one last thing. I think there's some crazy stat that, like, I won't go percentage, but like 9 out of 10 or something podcasts stop before the 7th episode.
Really? People lose momentum?
Quickly.
No way.
It's like anything.
Well, I'm doing good because I have 5. So if I can get through the next 2 with you all, right?
So some of the people I've helped before, we have kind of a thing like, I made it to 8, right? Like, you just get to 8. You've already beaten 90% of people who give up already.
That's my goal.
Set a goal that you get to at least 8. So you can say, you know what? I went more than most people have ever gone. So do that. Set that as a goal. Patricia?
Is there a rhythm, like in terms of building an audience, like having a podcast available once a week or once every 2 weeks? Like,
good question.
Is there any stats on that?
I don't know if there are stats on it. I really think the most important thing is, what can you handle that you don't resent doing it? So it lights some people up, and there are plenty of stories. I mean, not just a few of like, there are hundreds of podcasters who had full-time jobs, started podcasting, fell in love with it, set a goal. I'll interview someone every day.
Wow.
And they did. And they're now their full-time job is running a podcast because people showed up and they were interested and they just kept coming.
No.
So
where does their income come from if they podcast every day?
Right.
Yeah. So here's the cool thing, right? People always ask me, hey, if I start a podcast, how can I get a sponsor? How can I monetize my podcast? And I will tell you, and Alex and I tell people this every week, if not every day, you cannot monetize a podcast, and you cannot get a sponsor for a podcast without one thing. And that's people.
Yep. Followers.
If you're focused, I always tell people right away, if they're like, hey, I want to start a podcast, like, what should I do to like think about getting sponsored? I tell them you shouldn't start a podcast if that's the case. Because you're not in it to build for people. And if people don't come, you've got 0 chance of monetizing a podcast. You got 0 chance of getting a sponsor. So the best thing that you can do is not focus on that. Focus on serving a group of people. I know you weren't asking this, Patricia, like you were worried about doing that.
No, I was just curious about this guy who turned his life into a podcast. That's
I know, right?
I would love to turn my life into just talking because I'd be really good at that.
Yeah, you'd be, hey.
Me too. Sit right here in my table.
Wow, I love it.
You know
talk
what,
to people all day.
we'll have to, so we've, you know, I've been fortunate to have sponsors of our podcast. We've been fortunate enough to have like affiliates. So people will ask, you know, if I promote something on the show and people buy it, then I get a commission of it.
Oh, wow.
So I recommend affiliate marketing is the first place I would start. It's finding someone in your community or world who has a product that they sell that you really believe in, and that you promote it on your podcast, because there's no risk for them, right? There's no risk that like, hey, we have to give you $1,000 and maybe you'll sell something, maybe you won't. It's like, no, just for anyone who buys through me, you know, you get a promo code, right? And you offer it and you tell them why you like it. And then if they use your promo code, you get whatever % that you guys decide. I should have Cozy. Cozy hasn't been able to make the live streams, but Cozy, here's a really cool story and hopefully inspiration for you guys. So Cozy, who's also an SSPT member, Lauren, hint, hint, you should come to SSPT Live.
Come on, Lauren.
Cozy's on here. She works with amputees, and she, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but she works with amputees, and she started a Facebook Live series just talking to amputees. And what she would do is she would share that live stream in these different amputee Facebook groups. One of her videos got something like 40,000 views.
What?
And then one of them got, I want to say even more. She interviewed some guy who's a famous like Paralympic athlete.
Wow.
And he came on the show and he actually has asked her to like help him with marketing stuff now, because she got all this stuff. And she's like, no, it was you who helped me get all this. It's really funny how it worked out. But that led to companies asking Cozy how they could work with her to be a part of her new show, Cozy Talks. And it all, again, it all comes down to people, that she attracted people. And I'll tell you the number one way to attract people. Well, I don't know if it's number one. I can tell you the number one way to lose people besides outlandish saying awful things or doing awful things is stop showing up. And then people stop showing up. If you stop showing up, people stop showing up. It's the quickest way to lose any momentum. You know, now I feel fairly obligated to our audience. I at least show up once a month still, like just to put something out there, because people have, you know, been so kind to us. And the people, and Greg will tell you this over and over again, I've learned so much from Greg, is like, the people who win are the people who are there and are still there. So a year later, even when you're like, I don't even need help, they're still there. They're still showing up and they're still serving people. So if you use this as a platform to serve a group of people, it is amazing what's possible. There's no guarantee that, you know, a company will reach out to you or you can reach out to a company. But, you know, just for example, we had maybe 1,000 PT students listening a month to our podcast. And that's when we got our first sponsor, who we were like, they're a Con Ed company, small Con Ed company. And I talked with them and, you know, they were like, hey, we'd really like to like advertise on your show. And they'd advertised on one other podcast before. And at this point, I never thought of it. I was like, sure. He's like, okay, how much would it be to run an ad on your podcast? I was like, I don't know. We do 4 episodes a month. He's like, cool. How about $75 an episode? It'd be like $300 a month. We'll do that. And I was like, that was like $250 more than I was thinking. So yes, let's do that. I'm glad you brought that up first and didn't ask me, you know, a number. And yeah, we worked with them for like 3-4 months, and some people signed up for their Con Ed course and worked out great. And then from then we've done affiliate deals, stuff where things have come out, but none of it happened without showing up and talking about what people were really dealing with. And it's so interesting in today's world. I think we can sense people who are doing it for disingenuous reasons. Mm-hmm. So if you're just genuine and you show up and you really care about people, you will find your tribe. And the coolest thing about the world today is you don't need 1,000. You don't need 10,000. You don't need 100,000 people to be in your world who really love what you do. You need 50, 100 who really, really love what you do. And the beautiful thing is, in today's time, they can live anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have to be in your local area. They can be anywhere in the world. Some of the closest people I've made in my life lately are people who I don't know that I'll ever meet in person. But they're in different parts of the world. And I get to, like Alex, who's on here, who is doing this podcast, right? In Malaysia. I don't know what the odds are that I'll ever make it to Malaysia. Alex, come here. But we've been able to connect. And Alex, I hope it's okay. He just bought my other How to Make Money in Class course. And Alex and I probably will never meet, like in person. Just goes to show you only need 100 people who really love what you do and dig what you do. And you can create a life from it. With that said,
Thank you.
go crush it, guys. Go put in the reps. So proud of you guys. Dibs, we'll get on a call.
Yes.
Also, get some sleep. Get some sleep. I'm sure it's got to be exhausting from travel. Patricia, if we need to get on a call, let me know. Nicole, Lauren, will you post in the group when you see your podcast go live on Spotify or iTunes?
I will. Yes.
Yes.
Yep. For sure.
I'll be looking. I'll be following you guys.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And we all need to watch and support each other and help grow it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The one thing I'm going to
for
make
sure.
everyone do as someone's podcast gets up, I'm going to have everyone, the best thing that you can do for each other is review their podcast.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So give it 5 stars, let it know. It's not going to push us into the top 100 podcasts of all time rating on iTunes, but it does make more people see it because they always put higher rated reviewed podcasts up when people search for things. So we'll build a little army of like shares of reviews.
That's great.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm so proud of you. I'm here. I'm in the
Thank you.
Facebook group. Call me we'll get on calls if you need anything. I'm here for you guys. I just want you guys to have the most successful podcasts that you can. And more than successful podcasts, to be able to use it as a tool to go meet people, connect, get your voice out there. The world needs more people producing, not consuming. One mark, it's hopefully to have more people producing than consuming. So love you guys. Thanks so much for investing this.
Thank you so much.
So proud of you
Yeah,
guys.
thank you, Will.
You guys got it, guys. Lauren, hopefully I'll see you at SSPT Live. I know.
Yay, come.
There you
We'll
go.
be in touch.
Have a great night.
Okay, bye.
Thanks. Good night, guys.